This episode was brought to you by Munch Studio, helping you turn your ideas into content that's already done.
If you want generosity, you better be the first person to be generous to someone else. These are the things that I think take people from mediocre to excellence. And it's just intention. It's just knowing, like, I've done this, so I want my audience to hear me and my thought leadership. But more so too, if you want that visibility, you've got to share and share abundantly, a little audaciously too. Don't have any shame about it. People are excited for you, so allow them to be excited for you. And also, just make sure that you're doing it in a way that's not look at me, but look at this.
There's growing pains, and I've witnessed this on so many occasions, but it really is that next level that forces you as a leader, as a CEO, as a boss, to step up. Welcome to the She Believed She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. Since 2020, this show has inspired thousands of women around the world to believe in themselves and take bold action toward the lives they're meant to live. Each episode brings you powerful conversations and practical strategies to strengthen your mindset, build your confidence and brand, grow your business, and protect your well-being, all while spotlighting stories of women who are making a difference and changing the world in their own way. I am so glad you're here. Now let's get to work. Today's guest is Jen Szpigiel. She is the founder of Becoming Iconic and the founder and editor-in-chief of Iconic Magazine, a media company built to help women-led brands be seen, heard, and remembered. In 2022, Jen launched Iconic Magazine and the Iconic podcast, growing them into a global recognized media platform, reaching over 285 countries and earning more than 10 million impressions. Through her work, Jen has supported thousands of women founders and contributed to over $100 million in the collective sales across the businesses she has mentored. Please welcome to the show, Jen Szpigiel. Well, it is such an honor to have you on the show today. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself with our audience?
Yeah, and thank you for having me. We're fast friends,
yes.
I feel. And it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jen Szpigiel. I'm the editor-in-chief of Iconic Magazine, and I'm also the founder of Becoming Iconic, which is a business consulting brand, and it also has a creative agency involved. So we like to call it a brand world for entrepreneurs and founders so they can come in and just sort of have this one-stop shop, similar to what we were discussing before we hit record with what you're doing with your brand. So it's exciting to be able to house a woman and really watch her grow. And it's been my joy for the last 20 years.
Well, I love this. And I mean, our audience loves having these types of conversations. So we'd love to just even rewind the tape, because you are where you are now, but it comes with evolution. It comes with hardship, trials, tribulations, success. So how did you kind of get into this to begin with? And how has it evolved over time?
It was very much by accident. So I had a great marketing career, and then I had a baby. And 20 years ago, the decision was career or mom. Yeah. Nobody was showing us the example of being able to blend those two worlds. And so stuck in that, what I thought, that sacrificial type of decision, I chose her. She was the obvious choice, but I really missed myself. And I left my career at such a young age. I was a young mom. So I hadn't even found myself. I'm like, what turns me on? Yeah. What am I good at? What do I want to do? I had just started exploring that. And someone mentioned to me in passing, and I wish I could even remember who said it, but it was like that much of a whisper. They said, entrepreneurship is great. You could do something at home and still be home with your kids. And it was just that little seed that was planted, but it was a huge aha for me. I thought, this really feels like the best of both worlds, where I could be present and also really thrive as a woman. And that was 20 years ago. There was no looking back. And I really kind of flailed. I don't say failed forward. I flailed forward. It was sloppy at the beginning. I had no idea what I was doing. We didn't have the internet the way we do now. So it was a lot of just trial and error. But by doing that, I feel like it inspired a lot of women around me. That's really how the business started to grow, because they were watching the progress. They were watching my evolution and growth in real time. And so they got excited for what was possible for them, and conversation sparked.
Yeah. Well, and proof of what's possible too.
Yes.
And I always say, like, if you dim your light and you don't show up, you also are not showing other women what is possible.
Absolutely.
And we have a responsibility to shine our lights brightly, because look at what you've done and you've created. And For those of us that didn't grow up with maybe parents that were entrepreneurs, I didn't. Like, I didn't have a strong role model in my life that was. It did take me flailing a lot. Like, what do I do? Right. But thanks to like mentors and coaches and things along the way, it makes a big difference. So, okay. So I love this, flailing a little bit, find your footing, start to have some success. So then what are some of those pivotal moments throughout the course of your career where you're like, I've made this, like I've made this, I've built this, and there's so much more? Did you have like some certain moments? Sometimes there's like that aha too, like in the process where you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing and there's still so much more potential.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a great lesson in the initial kind of realization. When I started entrepreneurship, I said to myself, I got to be fully committed. It's just my personality. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something, which I think is a common thread for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I thought to myself, well, if it's going to go back to university or college, to get a degree, I would have to pay for tuition. That would be a non-negotiable. You can't go to a college or university and say, by the way, I'm not sure, can you give me a loan or payment plan? You have to pay tuition. So I thought I'm going to invest right out of the gates. I'd also have to invest time. So I'd have to go to school, I'd have to study. So I'm going to give this time. I'm going to be a student to entrepreneurship. And the third thing was just knowing that there was going to be projects and those things that I would have to make and those tangible things that were required. And I thought, I'm going to give myself 5 years to make $2,000 a month. And if I can do that, I've hit the jackpot. So the lesson in that right now is we're seeing so much success and it's wonderful. I'm thrilled. Women making money is a wonderful thing. Yet I feel like we're sort of assuming, or perhaps we're showcasing that really to be successful is $1 million or more. And all of these women in the in-between who are making 5 figures, multi-5, multi-6, life-changing income, they kind of feel lost. So I tell that story because imagine someone starting today and saying, in 5 years, I'm going to make $2,000 a month. I mean, I was naive, but I also really appreciated the stick-to-itness and that kind of vision for myself of I'm not doing this for 5 months to see how it goes. I'm doing this for 5 years. And then it didn't take that long. It happened quickly. But I believe I was able to receive that quickly because I was so dedicated and committed.
Well, and I love that we're taking the conversation there because in this world that we live in, especially with, just digital marketing and online and everything's a launch that turns into 6 and 7 figures. And it can, to your point, for somebody that might be earlier stage, it can look overwhelming or you can feel very defeated if you don't come out and have that type of a launch. Like I had a failed launch early in my full-time entrepreneurship career. So, my background is in healthcare. I spent a lot of years building companies for other people, went full-time on my own about 18 months ago. But I had been building business on the side, had successful coaching consulting companies. But my first launch right out of the gate, full-time entrepreneurship, full-time betting on myself, did not go as planned. But to your point, I was like, this is it. Like I burned the boats. Like I'm not going back. Like this is it. Right. And so when you have that mentality, it's like, okay, dust yourself off, learn from it, come out swinging. And the next one was great. So it's just a matter of like having that commitment because it's really easy then to say, oh, this isn't for me, or who do I think I am? And imposter syndrome rages and blah, blah, blah. But that long-term mentality is like, everything.
Right.
Everything.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, are you actually building a brand? Are you actually building a legacy? Are you in this because you saw the dollar signs in your eyeballs and are looking at people as transactions? And that just doesn't last. That's not a legacy business. It's having that vision. It's having that tenacity. It's saying, it failed, but I burned the boats. I'm doing it again. I think a lot of women, like over my 20 years, one of the heartaches I have is how many quit right before payday. Like I watch it happen a lot. And it's not they didn't lose their business or burn down their business because they failed. It's most of them didn't stay long enough in the crunchy, difficult, challenging times to see the breakthrough. They just thought it would be easier. And I think stop wanting it to be easier, start wanting to be better. I think Jim Rohn said that. And I feel like that's just such a great attitude because then again, you stick to it. You're like, what's the lesson? How can I apply it? How can I do something different and go forward and try again? And that I'm really happy to hear that story from you too, because I feel like we don't talk about that enough.
No, because it's like, oh, I don't want to look bad.
Right.
It's very easy, but I'm also like, this is real life. This is, it's not always going to be perfect. There's going to be things that don't go well. You don't want to carry that, I'm going to fail again mentality into the next chapter, but you have to be willing to brush yourself off. And to your point, that messy, hard, crunchy time when it's like, there's no accolades, there's nobody cheering for you at the moment, you're just head down doing the work. That's where you have the greatest amount of growth. In fact, I had sent a post on Instagram to Carolina. We've launched the podcast network, and there's so much that goes into that. God bless my husband, who's an attorney and has written now 1 million contracts, it feels like, for this.
Oh, I love that you have that.
Oh, yeah. No, he's earning his keep right now, for sure.
So good.
But I sent her a post yesterday that said, nobody appreciates the thousands of hours that you were just head down doing the work. They only see the success on the other side. And it's like, no, you have to do the work. You have to be willing to push through the difficult times. And to your point, I've seen it too. And I've definitely been on plenty of phone calls, plenty of coaching calls, plenty of things with our community going, do not quit. You are right there. At least give it one more shot. And it usually is that next tipping point that happens. And then they're like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't quit. I was like, thank God you didn't. The world needs what you've got. So
I know. It's imagine women flexing their capacity. That gets me excited. We're so afraid of burnout. We're so afraid of overwhelm. And I understand why. We come from hustle culture.
Right.
We built through hustle, and that wasn't necessarily aligned with who we are and how we function well. But I also don't think hustle culture was all that bad. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of success in hustle culture. So I can't make it all wrong. Do I want to grow that way now? No, because I know better, so I can do better. But I wish women were not so afraid to do the unsexy parts, to roll up their sleeves, to put in some sweat equity, because it's so rewarding to know that, I earned this. I worked hard at this. And so you cherish the success even more.
Yeah, no, that's where your confidence comes from. And we talk about that a lot on this show. Just the name of She Believes She Could, right?
Exactly.
Having the confidence comes from doing the things, right? And proving to yourself that you can get back up, that you can put one foot in front of the next, that you can do the next hard thing because you have proof of concept that you've made it through before.
Yes.
So I love this. Okay, great. So, and we talked about, just the early days, but I know there's been challenges along the way, right? Social media is a whole thing. So let's dig into that, because success isn't linear. There's always hiccups. But again, how do you pick yourself back up and keep doing the thing, even if you have to kind of reinvent how you're doing it?
Yeah. So a huge hurdle for me that happened in 2022 was losing my social media. I know a lot of people know that story if they know anything about me. It was a viral moment, to be honest with you. It was so wild how it all happened. I thought I had lost everything. I'm a solo income earner in my home, 4 kids. There's a tremendous amount of responsibility in that. So when it was stolen from me, I literally thought, this is it. We're going down. And so the fetal position for a couple of days, I did cry a lot. And there was a lot of grief, not just because of the what ifs, what does this mean, but also all the thought leadership. I was treating my social media like a photo album, all those memories, my kids. So it was a grieving moment. But I remember thinking, how dare I have a business called Becoming Iconic, lose a social media platform, and wither away. This is a moment where people who don't know me or haven't known my journey get to see what it is that I actually do, and I'm going to walk the talk. So I started all over again. And I wonder how many people listening in feel like that's their worst nightmare, oh my gosh, what would happen if Instagram went away? Well, a couple of things that I learned through that is, number one, I didn't realize I was building insurance in my business until I lost socials. Thank goodness for podcasting. I can't tell you how grateful I was for that podcast. Didn't realize it at the moment till you realize. And also email marketing. I don't feel like enough people pay attention to that and really pour themselves into it. And I did. So I had these beautiful communities at these two different platforms that really did hold the business while I grew the socials back. And what was interesting is so many women came forward because they were sort of astonished and this was their worst fear. And it healed a sisterhood wound for me because I hadn't had that experience with women prior, but they were there for me. Women I hardly knew were going on their stories, go follow Jen from Becoming Iconic. She's lost her social. And so it created this momentum and it created this visibility, which I know you talk about. And we created $1 million in revenue in 6 months. I never had happened in that short of a window before. So it's interesting because we talk about these challenges and we've talked about how you can really fold. Like it did occur to me to think, well, maybe it's a big pivot moment. Maybe it's time for me to do something else. But I saw it through. I was like, rise from the ashes, Jen. Show people it's not too late. You tell people that vanity metrics don't work, or don't matter, I should say. Show them that vanity metrics don't matter to the business. Like be that leader that you would want to follow right now.
If you're a business owner or content creator, you already know how hard it is to stay consistent on social media, coming up with ideas, writing captions, designing posts, and actually getting them scheduled. That's why I've been using Munch Studio. It doesn't just repurpose your content, it creates complete, ready-to-use posts for you. Graphics, captions, formatting, even scheduling. So instead of wondering what to post, your content is already done, giving you back the time and energy that you need to focus on building your business and brand. Check out the link in the show notes for more information.
The right room changes everything. Your clarity, your confidence, your revenue trajectory.
The She Believes She Could Summit is a curated, high-impact gathering for women building intentional, scalable platforms.
This isn't a massive conference. It is a strategic room, a room where you finally articulate what you've been trying to say, where you refine your positioning, where you build beyond the algorithm into ownership and sustainable growth.
One powerful, focused day in Orlando. Smart strategy, curated conversations, real momentum.
And for those that are ready to move from clarity to execution, there's a VIP day, the Visibility Lab. It's an intimate guided studio experience where you turn your refined message into professional, high-level brand assets, filmed, produced, and ready to elevate your platform immediately.
Day 1 is clarity. VIP day is execution. May 7th in Orlando.
If you've been craving proximity, strategy, and expansion, this is your room.
And it wasn't easy, but I'm so glad I did because it really did create the reputation for who I feel I am today as a leader.
Thank you for sharing that story too. And I mean, it is scary to think of,
Yes.
somebody losing that. I mean, I think about that all the time. I've spent a lot of time, energy, and effort on Instagram specifically. And I've also had the situation with people like creating accounts and impersonating me and doing all the things. And it's like all this stuff that is just terrible. But you proved it. You walked the walk, talk the talk. Like you did all of it and built it back up and had great success doing it. And I know the audience is not going to think that this is the first time I'm talking about this, but the email side of it, we talk about this all the time. Own your platform as much as you possibly can. And between Substack now, which I think is a great type of like almost a hybrid experience where it's like on another platform, but you own the email, like that's huge. Get that set up, start building that from scratch right away if you haven't started already. I mean, we are huge fans of podcasting around here. And so just define where you are going to have ownership over your audience so that you don't lose that. Like, and it's so important. And you had that. Thank God. Like that is, just proof of what's possible when you have intentionality around where else you're showing up and for whom. So I'm glad we talked about that. So, but as you think about the future, like what are you excited about? Like you've done so much over the last 20 years, like you've built something beautiful and so special and sacred, but like what lights you up now as you think about the next even 5 years?
I would say the magazine. I feel like the mentoring side of me is so well established and that's never going to go anywhere. I love what I do there. I love building personal brands. I love witnessing women, and I especially love when women start to witness themselves. So that's a forever ever. But I think what gets me really excited right now is the magazine and the media side, because I'm sure you hear this all the time. Visibility. I'm looking for visibility. So what I love is teaching women that, okay, visibility is an important thing to focus in on and an intentional attention in your business, but you got to make sure your business is ready for visibility because eyeballs don't mean a thing if you don't have a customer experience and an established brand and, an email for them to, for you to nurture them with. And so if you don't have those things established and you're asking for visibility, it doesn't mean anything. So that visibility piece feels important because I want to teach that piece of sandwiching it, building the brand that's ready for the visibility, then coming in and having your spotlight moment, whether it's through the magazine or whatever she's ready to do. And then also the art of promotion, because I'm sure you've had your visibility moments, even having this podcast. I have the podcast. You see people who just like reshare the story and think that's enough to promote themselves on a podcast. I'm like, it's such a missed opportunity. Like, squeeze every last drop out of this. Share, be generous. If you want generosity, you better be the first person to be generous to someone else. I actually did a podcast on podcast guesting etiquette.
Oh, I love that.
There is an actual etiquette. And I wish people understood that, because if you're generous, podcasters talk and we'll share and we'll say, hey, this person, they were excellent. So it's really that visibility piece. And I'm so looking forward to the magazine to being in more homes, like on people's coffee tables. She's so beautiful. She's so wonderful. And so that part for me gets me really excited. It's that full spectrum, that full approach of having something meaningful and also seeing that on coffee tables and in people's homes.
And it's special. It's tangible. They can hold it, feel it, touch it, look at it. No. And I love what you said, though. I mean, you have to be prepared for the visibility and being intentional around it all, I think is really, if you take the time, and it doesn't have to be forever, and certainly don't create analysis paralysis around it, but be intentional, right? When you show up, do it with intention, take people on a journey with you, have some place for them to connect and take that next step with you. Even if it's a free lead magnet, it's an email newsletter, whatever it is, they're now a part of your community, which is so special. And say it louder for the people in the back. Like, guesting etiquette is huge. Like, the amount of time and energy, and you appreciate this. You've got a show. Like, we put so much into it, right? And there is, and to your point, and I have a specific example, I introduced one of my clients to somebody that I was on her show, and I said, they do such a beautiful job with the content that they create for you. I know you will love it. But I never would have introduced that guest to that podcast host if that guest wasn't going to do her part and share, and because I have a deep appreciation for the work that goes into a show. So it is important, and it's also building your brand too, simultaneously.
It is. Like, this is great, but this is not how you generate visibility. It's how you share this moment with your audience. It's how you share it over and over, putting it on your website, putting it in your highlights. These are the things that I think take people from mediocre to excellence. And it's just intention, like you said. It's just knowing, like, I've done this podcast, so I want my audience to hear me and my thought leadership, and that I am being asked to be on podcasts. So again, there is that etiquette piece, but more so too, if you want that visibility, you've got to share and share abundantly, a little audaciously too. Like, don't have any shame about it. People are excited for you. So allow them to be excited for you. And also, just make sure that you're doing it in a way that's not look at me, but look at this. It's such a great conversation because I'm so excited to share this with you. I'd never shared this point before and on the podcast. And so create the intrigue and create the excitement, which will have people download, listen, and everybody wins in that scenario.
Absolutely. And it is super thoughtful. And it sends all the signals to the universe that you're ready for more.
Absolutely.
So there we go. So I'd love to wrap up our time today. I've got a couple questions that I love to ask our guests. So She Believes She Could usually has a meaning for everybody. There's a point in your life where maybe you did believe you could. And we talked a little bit about this today. But are there any other defining moments where you really had to trust yourself and you proved to yourself that you could?
Many. If I had to choose one right now, just as another example, recently, at a great level of success, I'm so grateful. Really, I spend most of my days, I can't even talk about it without getting emotional. I am a very grateful woman for what I have been blessed with. But I hadn't built the business with a lot of structure. I built the business with a team, with people. And I had to learn that the hard way in 2024. I hadn't built the back end systems. And so at some point you may outgrow certain people on your team or they may outgrow you. And that was a really achy moment. And so that was difficult for a number of reasons. We were left kind of vulnerable as a business. It distracted us from the marketing and the things that I'm really good at because we had to kind of go behind the scenes and do the gritty work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also really difficult on my team. They were huffing and puffing. It was a really difficult year. And so why I share that is obviously the lesson is build the systems and make sure you're building a business and not something that's just looks good on the internet. And secondly is, those moments, we're never immune to them. I believe a lot of people think the more successful we are, the less we have fears or worries or challenge. And I would say, you said this actually, more is more. If we're asking for more in our lives, we can't be naive to think that we're just going to have more success. We're also going to be met with more challenge. And it's a chiseling moment. So I was chiseled in that time, chiseled to keep the energy of the team, chiseled to keep the vision strong, chiseled to make sure that this never happened again. And also to show that outwardly, to not be, in this posture of like everything's roses, but instead this happened and I want to teach you, let my hindsight be your foresight. So that was another time where I thought, no, this is not the end. This is not going to retract or pull us back too far. I'm going to hold it. But I had to believe pretty big in those moments.
Yeah. Well, you have to because your team borrows your confidence
Absolutely,
too, right?
they do.
And it can be difficult. There's growing pains. And, I've witnessed this on so many occasions with various companies that are at different stages of growth. But it really is that next level that forces you as a leader, as a CEO, as a boss to step up. Like your team needs it. They deserve it too. And, we've been very blessed the last 18 months since I've been focused on this full time to have experienced some of those milestones where it's like you have to have some hard conversations. Like we all need to rise up. We need to learn new things. We need to be adaptable and agile and, willing to have to be a beginner again in certain ways. And I think with how fast the world is moving and how technology is just, accelerating. And there's so many cool things happening. Like I'm a techie at heart. I love.
Are you?
Oh my gosh.
Really?
My foreign language in college was HTML.
Come on.
I love this stuff. So AI, I turned myself into an avatar 2 years ago. So
Really?
I am obsessed with this stuff.
I love this for you.
I love to learn. But I have to be, my team has to love to learn too, because I like to be a couple steps ahead and I like to have tested things out and I'm always the guinea pig and I don't care. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I need my team to do the same thing and for us to do it systematically and thoughtfully.
Yes.
And again, intentionally seems to be the word that keeps coming back today.
True.
But it's so important. And don't be afraid of the growth, but be afraid of staying stuck in a past version. And I think that's really, the audience needs to take that and run today. So I'm just underlying that for them. And then who else inspires you? Who do you look up to? Who, do you encourage us to follow or read or listen to that really just strikes the fire within you?
Aren't we lucky to have so many beautiful women doing so many beautiful things? First of all, it's how do you choose? Right now, I would say the person I'm really focused in on and I'm inspired by is Emma Grede.
Oh, yes.
She's just, for me, fierce, unapologetic. She has style. Yeah. She also blazes trails. I'm someone that really is opposed to following trends. I feel as soon as something's a trend, it's too late. So I really love to be different. I really like to create new ideas. And I'm more of an artist than I am a techie. So I love to be creative. And so she right now is that person. I feel watching her, I really appreciate how she's showing up. I really appreciate how she's just fully expressed. And she's doing great things. So that's somebody I think everybody should listen to. She has a podcast. It's great. I much prefer it on YouTube, if that's okay to say. Love you, Emma. But it's a great watch because it's so back and forth. I find it's really easier to follow on YouTube, but I enjoy her very much.
Yeah, it's very well done. So love that. All right. And if people are inspired by you and want to connect with you, where should they go? What should they do?
Well, thank you for that. It's generous. Iconic Magazine _ is the magazine IG, and that's where I love to play. It's very artsy, lifestyle, business. It's just this infusion. It's so good. So that would be great. The digital magazine is there and it's complimentary. So I love the fact that women can get their hands at least flipping it, but I would challenge you to order it because you said it. It's the art of pause It's the art of being intentional around beauty and lifestyle and taste, and also reading gorgeous stories of women who have done really spectacular things. So I really would love to encourage that. I feel we've lost that art a little bit. We're so digital. It's like, come off the phone and sit.
Yes, please.
Sit for a second. So I want to encourage that. And then Becoming Iconic is a place where I talk a lot about business and, what a personal brand is and so on. So that's a great place to find me as well. And the podcast is linked on both of those.
Wonderful. Well, we will include everything in our show notes.
Thank you.
We want our community to also just be enamored with everything that you're building too, and find community with you as well. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I am so grateful that you are here. As always, please continue the conversation over on Instagram at Allison Walsh, and make sure that you check out all of our freebies. If you scan the QR code, if you're watching on YouTube, or check out the link in the show notes, it will take you to a page full of resources and trainings and things to help you go farther faster. And that is always my intention, is to help you continue to grow. And as always, I believe in you 1000%. And my goal is that you do too. Take care, beautiful. I'll see you next time.